When you open an image in Lightroom, there's some default settings that will give your image a particular look, specifically the raw files. They're being processed in a particular way. You can reset the default to your own choice. Let's see what I mean. Over here, I'm going to keep the process setting in the camera calibration set to 2010. That's the latest process version. It'll get me very good results. Here, instead of using the Adobe standard, this is the Adobe way of processing the image with a particular look. I'm going to choose another profile. In this case, this is one that comes out of the Nikon profiles, camera standard. You can see it's a little bit different right off the bat. Let's just say I want to make that my default setting. If I hold down now the Option or Alt key, you can see here Reset turns to Set Default. I'm going to select that. This dialog box appears, and there's a lot of information here. This is telling me that this is the Nikon D3, the serial number of that Nikon, and the ISO. So there's some criteria here that's defined that establishes that if any of these three criteria, or actually when all three of these criteria are met, it will apply this as the standard or the default setting, and other images coming from other cameras with other ISO speed ratings will be handled with the standard default. Now, you're asking yourself, if you've done this, that why is your dialog different than mine? Why is there all this information here? Maybe yours just shows a camera model. That's because over in my preferences, I'm going to go over to the library module, hit the G key, that takes me there, and then I'll go under Lightroom Preferences. Under the Presets tab, you see here how I've set Make Default Specific to Camera Serial Number. This was not selected by default. And Make Default Specific to Camera ISO setting, that wasn't set by default either. I can deselect these, and now when I go back to the Develop module and I hold down the Option or Alt key and set default, the only criteria for setting that new default setting will be it's a Nikon D3. You absolutely can choose any way to go on this. If you have selected the ISO setting, you'll need to pick an image that has an ISO that you want to actually set the new default to, and then probably go in and use some of the new noise reduction sliders. I'll go ahead and do that just to show you where those are, remind you. They're all under the detail pane. This new awesome Lightroom 3 noise reduction. So you could tweak that particular file to get it right, and then have that as your default now. And whenever an image comes in meeting all that criteria of the ISO, the camera model, and the serial number, it will apply this noise reduction as well as any of the other settings that you've made. So this is just one more way that you can streamline your workflow, come up with a look that you like. You don't have to depend on the Adobe defaults. And it's just another great feature of Lightroom. It's just awesome.